Hello humans, I'm the Alien Doctor, but you can call me Alien, and welcome back to another tutorial here on Minecraft Bedrock Edition. Today I'm going to be showing you how to build this very simple and very efficient one tall flower farm. So this is obviously a bone meal based farm because that's what all one tall flower farms are pretty much. And yeah, basically the way it works is it bone meals whatever flour you choose. In this demonstration I'm just using corn flour. And yeah, it bone meals that flour and then it gets popped off by the piston. It's very simple. It's a very simple concept and a very simple farm, especially when you consider the rates, which is so when I did my test, I got 15,000 items an hour, or 15,181 items an hour, which rounds to 15,200 items an hour. I'm also pretty sure when I was doing these tests, there's a chance that the bone meal might have run out. So it could even be more than this. Like, I'm not sure. But either way, it produces way more one tall flowers than you're realistically ever going to need. So just to put that into context, 15,181 flowers looks like this double chest, this double chest, this double chest, and whatever's in this chest. So basically, a lot of drops. So obviously for this farm, you are going to need a decent source of bone meal because, well, yeah, this is a bone meal based farm. However, in the upcoming tutorials, I will have a video out about how to build a skeleton like spawner farm. So obviously you can get all of your bones from that. But yeah, overall, this farm is just really simple, really quite efficient as well. So obviously I have briefly mentioned how it works. However, let's just go into more detail how it works. So we just have this little redstone clock here. This is an observer based piston clock because it seemed like the most easiest way to compact it. And what we've got is your flour here. There's this stair placed right here so that you can change what flour you want. So let's say you wanted to change this corn flour to a different flour, then this stair here would allow you to do that. But yeah, we're just going to keep it as a corn flour for now. And basically what happens is this redstone clock will be constantly firing this dispenser and also constantly firing these pistons. So what happens is every time the dispenser bone meals that flour and it spreads onto the grass then gets pulled away, breaking the flour, which then gets collected by the hopper minecart. Sometimes you might just need to like flick it on if there is like flowers that haven't been collected by the hopper minecart. So there we go. Overall, it is a very simple concept. And yeah, you'll find most one tall flower farms generally work like this. Something else to point out is we obviously have what a lot of you might think is more hoppers than normal. That is actually just because this hopper minecart is likely to get overloaded. I'm just going to put that out there. This hopper minecart, if you use for a long period of time, it is going to get overloaded, and there's no real way to avoid that, just with the nature of how quick this farm is. So we put in as many hoppers as it kind of makes sense to. If you wanted to, you could put this entire floor as hoppers. However, I don't really see a point in doing so. However, obviously, if you do find yourself AFKing for long periods of time, you might want to fill up this floor with hoppers and that sort of thing. But anyway, what we've got here is these 4 hoppers, because generally that's enough for the amount of time that you're most likely going to be using this farm. I doubt that anyone's going to be using this for like a full hour. Obviously, maybe if you're building some sort of mega base, then you might, but like generally, yeah, people aren't going to want to be AFK at this for an hour. Obviously, if we flick it on, you may notice how this hopper is actually getting powered because of how we're powering the powered rail. And you may be like, so what's the point in having that hopper there? Well, I'll tell you, is that when we flick off the lever, as you can see here, the hopper minecart puts its items into that hopper. So whilst obviously that hopper isn't in use whilst the machine is on, when the machine is off, it obviously makes sure there is no backlog of items, as you can see there, which is very good. The other thing you may be wondering is why I didn't just put an entire like floor of hoppers, like one row up, so we didn't have the hopper minecart. The reason being is because occasionally flowers will land on that block the actual flower, the original flower itself is on, and so we obviously need the hopper minecart to go underneath and collect that. I was considering just putting like a hopper minecart just underneath there and then using the rest as hoppers. However, it ended up just making more sense to do it this way, and also probably being cheaper as well. The last thing to consider is if you're really tight on bone meal or whatever, then you may want to fill in these corners. These should stop the like flowers from popping out to the side, because occasionally they sort of get trapped in the piston and get popped out and pushed out or whatever outside of the farm, where ultimately they're not going to get collected. So yeah, you may just feel the need to fill in these corners like so, but I have not included that in the materials list. So yeah, that's kind of an optional thing. But without further ado, I think it's time that we get on to the tutorial. So firstly, there will be a full materials list in the description down below. However, you can also see the exact quantities and all that sort of thing in the video right now, so you may want to pause it. So, boop. We're going to need 33 glass. I guess you could use solid blocks, however, I'd recommend using glass. 20 redstone, 11 solid blocks of any type, 9 grass, 9 sticky pistons, 7 normal rails, 4 hoppers, 2 levers, 2 chests, 2 powered rails, 2 observers, 1 type of any stair, 1 dispenser, 1 type of whatever, like 1 tall flower you need. You're going to need at least 1 so that you can actually bone meal it. It's essentially like duplicating it, except where it's not duplicating, it's bone mealing. And then a minecart with a hopper. And for this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to build it actually on the ground. So obviously, this version is floating just because when I was designing it, it's easier to design stuff with a little bit of space underneath. But I'll actually show you how to do it so that it is on the ground, not floating like it is here. So to start off with, you're just going to want to place in your double chest. Obviously, you can change this out for whatever storage you want. But in this case, we're just going to do a double chest. Next, you're going to place in 2 hoppers on either side of the back of the double chest, like I have right here, and then pull out your solid blocks and then kind of place them in all of these locations like that. Then you can go ahead and place in your rails. So a powered rail here, rails wrapping around all the way like this until you get to this side where you're going to place another powered rail. You're also going to need to place a block here on the end of that powered rail and a block here on the end of that powered rail. You're also going to need to place a lever on that block and flick it on so that that rail gets powered. Then with your glass, you're going to need to fill in all the sides, missing out the corners if you want. You will get a little bit of loss if you do miss out the corners, so ultimately that is your choice. Then get out your grass, and it does actually have to be grass. Dirt doesn't work for some reason. You can't bone meal plants onto dirt. It has to be grass. So yeah, get out your grass and place 3 on the side with the chest, and then 3 the opposite side, and then place 1 on top of there and 1 on top of there, like that, with the sides that got the powered rails, like so. Then you can go ahead and fill in glass in between these 2. So there we go, 2 glass in those locations. Then we're going to use some temporary blocks just to place in a piston kind of right here, so that when it extends, it pushes this grass into the middle, like so. And we're going to do the same for all of these sides, so that all of this grass will get pushed into the middle by a piston. So there we go. I've just done it for this side, and then the same on this side. There we go. And then last but not least, on this side. There we go. There is your piston layout. Now is also a good time to come to the middle and place in your grass block above the sort of like middle rail, like so. And I'd also recommend placing in your hopper minecart as well. So there we go. There is our hopper minecart. So now what you can go ahead and do is actually place in glass at the top above all of your grass, and then obviously the glass that's next to the grass. Glass and grass, they're like 2 words which you could very easily misunderstand. But anyway, so there we go. Now you've got in all of your glass around like that, and it should be up in total 3 layers of glass, obviously with some dirt or grass in between. But anyway, so what you're going to want to do now is place in redstone here, and then you're going to need to pull out your observer and place an observer facing in this direction, so the opposite direction to the redstone, so that the dot is actually, you know, going to power the redstone. So if we power this observer, it then powers the redstone, which powers the piston. We want to place a temporary block here and then an observer here facing in this direction towards the piston. And then place in a solid block followed by a sticky piston there, and then put a lever on the bottom of that solid block, and then 2 pieces of redstone dust here. Now, if you flick this, Then as you can see, it pushes up the observer, creating a redstone clock, which should fire this piston, as well as powering the minecart rail and also powering that hopper. We can just turn it off for now. So after you have done that, you should end up with something that is looking a little bit like this from like the top view. You're going to need to place in a couple of temporary blocks to do this next bit, but place a temporary block here, a piece of glass here, and then this is actually where you're going to need to pull out your dispenser and possibly come into the system. This might be a little hard to do in survival. And then place in your dispenser facing downwards towards this grass with one block of air between them, like I have done right here. So then you can go ahead and destroy your temporary block like so. Place in glass here. However, you're then going to need to place in a solid block right here and have this line up with this piston like I have done right there. We can then place another piece of glass, and then you're going to need to get out whatever type of stair you're using and place it like this. This is so that you can like reach in and change the type of flower that's in there. You could use a slab. However, that would increase the chances of a flower actually popping out through a slab. But yeah, a slab is also an option if you wanted to. And then just fill in the rest of the roof with glass like we have done there. Now we have nearly finished this farm. All we have to do is the redstone layout. So come over here to the brain of this farm and we're going to begin wiring up the redstone. So overall, it's pretty simple. Place in your redstone that goes all the way up to this solid block, and then down here over the top of these sticky pistons, because yes, that's something you can do in Bedrock, and then back up here, then down here, around here, and then onto that sticky piston like so. So your redstone layout should look something a little bit like this so far. We're then going to just go down here to the pistons that we have not wired up yet, and then just go over the top of the pistons like so. So now if you get yourself some bone meal, you can then place it in the dispenser like so, flick this lever on, and the farm should begin working, but you have to actually, put in a flower first, obviously. So there we go. Let's just place in a flower, and for this example, I'm just going to use a dandelion, which will obviously give you yellow dye. But anyway, we flick this lever, and there we go. The farm starts working and producing us lots and lots of dandelions or whatever one tall flower you choose to farm. And obviously we have this stair here so that you can swap out your flower if you want to, if that is something that you feel the need to do. And overall, that is actually your farm completely done now. Of course, you may want to add in some extra hoppers and chests like so with bone meal in them just to make sure that your farm never runs out. You can do that, however, it's really not necessary unless you're going to be spending long AFK sessions here. And I mean like long AFK sessions here. Chances are, for most of you, you're not going to be AFKing at this farm long enough to actually run out of bone meal in the dispenser. But obviously, bear in mind, this farm does use a pretty good amount of bone meal, as you can see here, because of how efficient it is. So, you are kind of going to have to potentially put some extra hoppers and chests here. Also, no, the hopper, as you can see, does not get powered by any of the surrounding redstone. This is a completely unrelated note. I've noticed a bit of a bug over here. How are poppies... What? How does that work? Okay, so it would appear there is a bug where occasionally it's bone mealing and it's producing poppies instead. Unless that's not a bug and that's intentional behavior. But I did not think it was, but there's a lot of poppies in there. Interesting. So what happens if we were to switch it out? Oh, it's actually run out. So let's say we fill this up with bone meal and then just switch that out for a cornflower. Will that still produces any more poppies? No, it is still only producing as cornflower. That is so strange. Okay, so I'm guessing that's just a bug with dandelions, where sometimes you'll bone meal dandelions and it'll give you a poppy. That's so weird. I've never seen that before. Interesting. Well, anyway, I guess that's something to be aware of. That's obviously a bug with Minecraft, so hopefully it will get fixed in the future. And other than that, thank you so much for watching, but that is the end of this video. If you're interested in more Minecraft Bedrock Edition stuff, then feel free to check out some other videos on my channel. And if you have any questions or comments or improvements or anything like that, or even if you need help building this, then I would recommend joining my Discord server. The comment section is also an option as well. But yeah, I have a Discord server, and on my Discord, there is a dedicated channel for tutorial help and then a completely other one for feedback. So if you have either feedback or need help with this tutorial, if something was not clear, then maybe go ahead and ask your question in that channel. Feel free to like and subscribe today to join the Alien Empire. I'll see you in the next video coming soon. Bye.